Hello, everybody. Overall, it was another snooze fest today in the stock market. The Nasdaq was slightly lower today. The Russell 2000 was slightly lower today, and the S&P 500 was slightly lower today. Volume was lower across the board, and as you can see in the S&P 500, we finished in the upper end of our intraday range. The Nasdaq, we finished higher than where we opened and overall around mid-range, and the Russell 2000 was an overall constructive session. We basically didn't even move anywhere on that index today. But with the lower volume pullback, everything looks good. Looking at our internal oscillators, it looks like the Russell 2000 is kind of weakening here. So that's just on TSV and MACD. Stochastics and RSI look good. So we're mixed. So if we are going to trend higher, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a little choppy, back and forth filling along the way. And I don't know. Nothing looks too terrible right now. I'd like to see the market have a little bit more action with us being so long, but it is what it is. The Nasdaq also, the oscillators are pointing lower, but we're nowhere near overbought. RSI and stochastics are good. MACD and TSV, not so much. So we got another, mixed market overall. The S&P 500 continues to be the strong index. TSV is looking a little weak on the shortest term, but every other oscillator is trending higher significantly. So there's really not much to take away from today's action other than the New York Stock Exchange and S&P 500 stocks continue to look stronger than the Nasdaq and small caps. And that's why tonight, once again, the longs that we have are bigger caps. So before we get to there, let's go and get over the sells. On a closing basis, TREX is a 50% sell. I've already been taken out of my half position. My final sell stop is this low a day here, but it's starting to get, pretty ugly. I'm starting to think that maybe I don't want to do that anymore. But if I would have used the 50-80 lows, I guess we can go ahead and do that now. I just think that the 50-day moving average is so close that we might as well do that. If I do anything, I might raise it from this low a day, 48.94 to 49.59. But I was taken out here was whenever it closed below the low a day here, and it was on lower volume, lost a little of its strong green bop. So I put a sell stop half of the position below the low a day, which was 52.43. And it took that out the next day, but it rallied higher, preventing an end-of-day basis 50% sell. So today is the confirmation move. Nothing to do on my end. And also NHTC, horrendous day. And this just shows you what the problem with the illiquid, low-volume market is. NHTC gave us a long signal back here. It was too extended in one day, I said, for me to get long this stock. I wanted it to pull back about to 10 cents above the pivot area, which was 1840, which was 1850. It did not pull back. It instead took off without me. And I felt stupid for a little minute. I was like, oh man, I've missed out on a 26% move in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sessions. Not feeling too smart. Well, now if you just would have waited to the 8th session, your 26% gain has turned into a 2% loss in one day. Now I know it sucks, but unfortunately with this, if I was long, I would have moved up once we then had a 25% gain. I would have, just like I did on VLTC, my VLTC, I think my final sell stop is now just below the 6 level. Would have had half the position right here at 1909, and then the other half at the low a day, 1799. 1909 was clearly taken out today on heavy volume, so if you got out there, you got a very tiny loss. But either way, this move is horrendous. It lost its max green bop. It still miraculously has some green bop, but volume's too huge. This chart pattern is destroyed. And if you look on the arithmetic chart, why in the hell would you hold this? And by the way, this is the second time this stock's done this. It did the same thing back in September where it had, let's see, how much did it rally? Where it rallied up 70% in about 9 days, and then in one day fell 35%, wiping out most of the gain. So this stock is a pretty shitty trading stock, so I wouldn't even worry about it. But NHTC is kind of canceling quality-ish. I consider it a speculative long position 1%, so it's not a big deal, but that is also, or that is a full sell. And then FRSH has failed. I had half of my sell stop below the 1796 level, so that would have gotten me out a little bit higher than where it is now. But whenever it did not break lower following this move and started to rebase sideways, I moved them all back to this low right here, 1735. But this move here on heavy volume, closing below the low a day of the signal date, with it losing not only max green bop but green bop, that's a full sell signal. So FRSH is a goner. A few long sales tonight, only two really, and then an ad. BJRI, BJs Restaurants. We used to have a BJ's Pizza here. It's now Lahaina Pizza Co. But it's similar pizza. It's bouncing right off the 50-day moving average. Volume's higher, but it's not huge, but it's big enough to produce a pocket pivot point signal. BJ's Restaurants is not only a CanSlim quality stock, but it's actually a pre-perfect speculator scan stock. Out of 10,000 stocks, currently around 120 to 130 stocks qualify. BJRI is one, so that's a 5% position. If we're wrong, we don't risk a little more than about 3.5% at worst. So pretty good long signal to go ahead and increase our position size. And then there's GPX. It's beautifully bouncing off the 50-day moving average on above average volume with a pocket pivot point signal. Very, very strong move. It's only a 2.5% position. You can go ahead and move it up to 3.5% if you want, but yeah, the market just isn't ripping higher to make me super confident on each of these positions. Even though we're under a buy signal, we're so fully invested that I can't, put the max amounts that I want to in my cash accounts into these. So there's no point in increasing them. So GPX is a 2.5% long signal because it's a CanSlim quality stock that was confirmed in the price volume BOP scan. Some stocks, and I'm not buying, that were in the CanSlim stock but not confirmed in any other scan, were Akamai. You can see that breakout. You can see Disney breaking out. ServiceNow Incorporated, which is also a perfect speculator scan quality stock. Only 72 stocks qualify out of 10,000 right now. It's one of them. And Data also broke out. Not in a CanSlim scan, is a pre-perfect speculator quality scan, but it's up too much in one day, 5% volume. To chase a move like that, no way, not going to happen. And then we also have an ad signal in OGS. OGS is a fantastic looking stock, but it really hasn't gone anywhere since the long signal. So I put half the sell stop at 42.19, this low a day here on 4.9. Unfortunately, intraday, it traded below 42.19, so it took me out of half the position. And by the end of the day, the damn thing is closing near the high of the day on strong volume with an increase in green BOP with the pocket pivot point signal to boot. So now I have to add back all that I sold, and it's also technically a 1% add. But how I'm going to look at it is I'm going to treat it as a brand new long position. So it's a CanSlim quality stock, not confirmed in any other scan, so it's a 2.5% long signal. So OGS 2.5%. You only risk about, what is that, 1.5% if you're wrong. So 2.5% in OGS, 2.5% in GPX, and then BJRI 5%. And then also CNO is coiling. I went long CNDO yesterday because it was coiling, and it had max green BOP the past 2 days after losing it for 1 day, and then after previously having it for like 25 to 30 sessions. That turned out to be a prudent buy, as today it was up 7%, but once again, they couldn't hold the max green BOP. I don't understand what's happening anymore. Like I said, we don't have our 300, 400, 500, 1,000% winners like we used to on an end-of-day basis, but whenever we do get hot, beautiful, green-filled stock charts, even when they break out and work, we lose the technical indicator power behind them, and it's just very, very odd for me to still see this, especially when we're trending higher and at new all-time highs. It's very odd, but it's low volume, low liquidity, not surprised. But CNO has a very similar chart pattern to CNDO yesterday. Has the max green BOP, it's coiling. I have a feeling that if you don't get it early, just like CNDO, we wouldn't be going long CNDO today because it lost its max green BOP first off, but up 7% in 1 day. That's a bit much for this stock. So I think the same thing's going to happen to CNO. We get an early long position here. If it fails, we risk about 2%. If it works, then we get to get long, and we don't have to worry about an outside and average true range move, which is probably going to happen if this one breaks out.